All right, here we go. Welcome into the show. This is Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr., and here's what's coming up. According to report, the New York Jets are trying to steal and poach Howie Roseman away from the Philadelphia Eagles potentially. And then also we're going to get into this. How the Birds may use Saquon Barkley on Sunday in the regular season finale against the New York Giants. As we know, he's 101 yards away from breaking Eric Dickerson's record for the most rushing yards in a single season. Before we do all of that, we're chasing 100,000 subscribers right here on this channel. And as you can see with all of these figures here to my right, currently 96,408 people are subscribed to this show worldwide. And we're closing in on 97K, 592 people away from that number. On yesterday's show, we picked up 50 new subscribers and counting. Today's show, I really want to beat that number, and let's do that before Sunday. So, if you're looking for daily and year-round Eagles coverage that's informative, insightful, fun, entertaining, where you can learn about football, learn about the Eagles, where you have a voice, and you can laugh a little bit and have some fun here on the show, then hit that sub button and lock us in today. As for topic number one, let's dive right in. Could the Jets try to steal Howie Roseman from the Philadelphia Eagles? A very interesting report from NFL insider Tony Pauline, and he put together an article where he talked to people around the NFL about what the New York Jets will do this offseason. The Jets, they fired Robert Saleh earlier this year. They're already conducting general manager interviews. They brought in a handful of candidates, and once the season is over, Jeff Ulbrich is not going to come back as the head coach. He's been their interim head coach, replacing Robert Saleh. The Jets have been awful after that firing, and so they're going to bring in a new head coach and a new general manager, and some people around the NFL are posing a possibility of the Jets making a monster splash, which would send a ripple effect across the entire NFL and the city of Philadelphia, and the idea, try to take away Howie Roseman from his post with the Eagles. Here's what Pauline had to say. A source told me the Jets need to, quote, think outside the box and do something crazy, such as offering Howie Roseman, the Brooklyn, New York native, who is presently executive vice president and general manager of the Philadelphia Eagles, the keys to the franchise and an equity stake in the organization. Sounds crazy, but it makes sense and may be necessary at this point. Regardless of what happens over the course of the next 2 months, the Jets desperately need a change of culture in the building, something comparative to what's going on in Washington and in Los Angeles. My immediate reaction, Tony Pauline even said it. It sounds crazy? Yes, this is crazy. The Jets aren't far away. Right up I-95 from the Philadelphia Eagles, and Howie knows all about how the Jets operate. Why? Well, his former understudy, Joe Douglas, was the general manager with the Jets. He, like Robert Saleh, got fired a few months ago. And guess what happened a couple of weeks ago at Lincoln Financial Field? Guess who was on the field pregame with Howie Roseman? Joe Douglas, who did a great job in building up some Eagles rosters, working in this front office alongside Howie. You think that Howie didn't talk to Joe Douglas about the dysfunction, the chaos, and the awful organization that the Jets are? Douglas did a pretty good job of bringing in talent to that team. They just never got the quarterback position right. And, of course, you have to pose this question. Why would Howie Roseman want to leave this situation with Philadelphia? He has full say over the roster and personnel. He has a great relationship with owner Jeffrey Lurie. Lurie is one of the best owners, not just in football, but in all of professional sports. Howie doesn't have to worry about a meddling boss. The Eagles are consistently competitive, and Lurie is always willing to invest in the team, giving Howie full say and the money to go out there and give him the resources to do what he thinks is necessary to put together a team and a coaching staff. Howie has built the Eagles into a powerhouse squad. It's the only team that he's ever known in his football life because he started as an intern with Philadelphia after Mike Tannenbaum with the Jets turned him down when he was coming out of college in Florida. Howie's won one Super Bowl already, has made it to another in 2022. He wins one more Lombardi Trophy. He's going to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. This year in 2024, he could win Executive of the Year. And right now with Philadelphia, he's highly compensated and in a perfect situation. It's like you're in a perfect marriage, but then you see somebody who's a dime and you're like, perfect marriage, great family, love my kids, love my wife. But I kind of want a new challenge, a new thrill. Let me go to the Jets. Let me get a new wife. Doesn't always work out. If you're in a really good situation, stick with that situation. Winning also makes you really happy. And the Jets are a circus. They haven't won a Super Bowl since 1969 when Joe Namath lifted them to a Lombardi trophy. The Jets have not won a playoff game since 2010. Woody Johnson has been a terrible owner. He didn't let Joe Douglas trade for Jerry Jeudy because his Madden rating wasn't high enough. The Jets can never get quarterback or head coach right. And with the Jets, you have to play in the same division as Josh Allen against the Bills, who's not going anywhere, and a young quarterback who looks to be a developing stud in Drake May. But what could be attractive for Howie Roseman is an insane salary where he becomes the highest paid executive in all of football, an equity stake in the organization where he can make even more money, and the value of pro organizations across sports and in the NFL will only continue to increase. And any competitive person loves a new challenge, professionally and in life. And Howie Roseman, you talk to anybody who's been around him, he is uber competitive, and he loves the game of football and loves putting football rosters together. But I come back to this. The Eagles are the only organization that Howie Roseman has ever known. He started under Andy Reid and Joe Banner when Jeffrey Lurie was still the owner as a front office intern in 2000. And he's climbed his way up to being arguably the best executive in the game. In 2001, 2002, only was an intern for 1 year. He became the salary cap staff council member, or at least a member of that staff. 2003 to 2005, he was the director of football administration. 2006, 2007, elevated to VP of football administration. 08-09, VP of player personnel. From 2010 to 2014, he was the general manager of the Philadelphia Eagles. Chip Kelly ousted him from that post, made him go to the other side of the building where he really couldn't do anything, and then he returned with a vengeance after Chip Kelly got canned. Executive VP of football ops from 2015 to 2018, and now the executive VP and the general manager after he got that gig back. Now, coming up next, I'm going to break down how Howie Roseman can't leave this situation with the roster that he's put together and where the Eagles are as an organization. Plus, there's a hint out there sprinkled by Nick Sirianni as to how the Eagles could use Saquon Barkley in Week 18 against the Giants, his former team, as he tries to set the rushing record. First, if you want Howie to stay with the Birds for his whole career, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon, like the video, and if it gets you annoyed that the Jets are trying to take him away, type F New York down in the comment section. Let's get to our sponsor, our friends at GameTime. Regular season finale coming up on Sunday as the Eagles play host to the New York Giants. And even though the holidays are technically in the rear view, it's never too late to get a holiday gift for somebody who you really care about. And right now, GameTime is focused on togetherness this holiday season, but also as we pivot to the new year here in 2025. I can't believe it's already New Year's Eve. With the GameTime app, you get the best seats at the lowest price guaranteed. Prices drop as the event gets closer. You can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. And with GameTime Picks, curation makes it easier to find the best seats at the lowest price guaranteed to sporting events, but also concerts, comedy shows, theater events, and a whole lot more. Plenty of tickets available for Giants, Eagles. If Saquon plays, you can see and witness history. It was pretty awesome how he surpassed 2,000 yards on Sunday against Dallas. Eagles took him out of the game. Nick Sirianni did, and that allowed the fans to give him a standing ovation. You can be a part of that special atmosphere and hopefully see a triumphant Philadelphia Eagles victory. Flash deals, zone deals. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the app, create an account. Use the code SHATSPORTS on your screen right now for $20 off. Terms apply. First purchase only. What time is it? Game time. We'll put that link down below in the comment section. and in the description of today's Eagles Now. So, look, you think about what Howie's done with this Eagles roster. How could he ever leave this situation? And in a moment, coming up at the back half of the show, a hint as to how Philadelphia could use Saquon Barkley this week. Here is Howie's offensive influence. And obviously, as an organization, him and Jeffrey Lurie have put a lot of financial resources, draft resources, and free agency resources into building up the offensive side of the football. You think about the 2 Super Bowls that Philadelphia has played in. They scored a bunch of points against New England in Super Bowl 52, and it was a shootout against the Chiefs in Super Bowl 57. And right now, Howie has his quarterback in Jalen Hurts, ultimate winner, great dual-threat quarterback, who, when he's asked to pass, look at what he did against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he can grow in that area of his game. Jalen Hurts is still in his mid-20s. Howie stole Saquon Barkley away from the New York Giants. It's one of the best free agency signings in the history of the National Football League. 2 years, $26 million in guaranteed money. He runs for more than 2,000 yards in 16 games and is going to win NFL Offensive Player of the Year, and he's been an MVP candidate. The Eagles' offensive line, arguably the number 1 line in all of football. At the wide receiver spot, you have arguably the best wide receiver duo in the NFL, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. And across this entire Eagles roster, and on the offensive side of the football, you have a great blend of youth and experience. Star players, really good players. It's the deepest, most complete team in the NFL. And you have to factor this in when talking about Howie. This is one of his biggest strengths, maybe his biggest strength. He is always a magician with the salary cap. And in the draft this year, the Eagles are so stacked where they don't have many needs. They can draft a luxury type of player in the first round. Can you imagine if a player like Tyler Warren drops to Philadelphia, the Penn State tight end? Dallas Goedert, I don't think, has any more guaranteed money left on his contract after this year. He's always injured. And the Eagles are like, well, we're good along the offensive line. We're good at wideout. We're good at running back. We're good at quarterback. We could use a tight end. Defensively, we're pretty good at all 3 levels and stacked there. How about Tyler Warren as another weapon to this Eagles team? He can block. He can catch. He can run. He can do it all. So that's the point. You build up a football team like this and you have a unit that you do right now. Howie Roseman doesn't have to go with a specific need. He can go best player available or just reach for a weapon who Philadelphia thinks they could use at their disposal. And then on the defensive side of the football, is this going to be the Eagles' core for years to come? All of these players have developed. They've contributed. Some have been stars this year. Some have played at an all-pro, Pro Bowl level. But all of these players have been really good this year. Cooper DeJean's 21 years old. Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Quinyon Mitchell, Jalyx Hunt, Nakobe Dean, all 23 years old. Jordan Davis is 24. Milton Williams set to be a free agent. He's 25. And Reed Blankenship is 25. All of those other players outside of Milton Williams under contract for the foreseeable future. We know the saying, grass ain't always greener on the other side. And my message to Howie Roseman, you have it how you want it. Great roster, juggernaut, great relationship with Jeffrey Lurie. He's a great owner. He lets you do what you want to do, and you can spend the amount of money that you want to spend. Stick with the midnight green, not the Jets' ugly green. If you want to give me a follow on social media, I'm on X and Instagram at Chase_Senior. Help me get to 15,000 followers on X. I'd appreciate that. And on IG, 35,000 followers. In addition to the long-form content I do here on YouTube, so much more Eagles content in a short-form variety there on social media. All right, let's get to this conversation. The topic of the week, will Saquon Barkley play against the New York Giants? He's 101 yards away from breaking Eric Dickerson's all-time rushing record that he set back in 1984 while with the Los Angeles Rams. What's impressive about what Saquon is doing, it's a pass-happy era. Teams like to air it out a lot. There are a lot of great defenses and teams across the NFL, and he has an opportunity to set the all-time rushing record in fewer carries despite playing 17 games as compared to the 16 that Dickerson played back in the 1980s. That is the statistic that doesn't matter. You show me that you're a casual if you say, doesn't matter that he sets the record, he's doing it in 17 games. Nah, fam. 345 carries, 2,005 yards. Eric Dickerson had 379 carries for 2,105 yards. If Saquon sets the record against the Giants, he's going to do it in fewer carries. That is what matters. Is there a hint as to how Nick Sirianni is going to use Saquon? Here's what the Eagles head coach had to say. Still thinking through it a little bit. I take a lot into account. What's the best thing for the team? Also, what's the best thing for the individuals going for the record? In 2021, Devontae Smith was going for the rookie receiver record. We didn't play some other guys in that game, but we went and got him that record. Every situation is a little bit different, not saying one way or the other. Jalen Hurts also did not play in that game for Philadelphia, and Devontae Smith was able to get that record over DeSean Jackson, and then the Eagles pulled him out of the game. I thought Jim Harbaugh and Bill Belichick made a really good point when it comes to sitting or resting players in a regular season game, and these are two of the best coaches in the history of football. They said, you can't sit everybody. You can't just not play 25 guys. It makes sense. Some starters will have to play. And then Bill Belichick also added, you can't go to a portion of your team and say, we're not going to play you, but then go to another portion of your team and say, yeah, you're going to have to play. And think about it. It's a numbers game here. Teams have 53-man rosters, and only 48 players are active on game day. You can't afford to sit all starters. Lane Johnson is 34. He talked about some of the benefits of resting at his age, and he said Eric Dickerson is who he is. Saquon is who he is. We just wanted to get to 2,000. We were fine with that. Better be safe than sorry. But then there's Jordan Mailata, a little bit younger, a little bit more spry, doesn't have as much mileage on the tires. He said he absolutely wants to play and noted it's an opportunity to make history. We'll see what Nick Sirianni does. If I'm him, I go to Saquon and I ask him, do you want to play? Yes? No. Then I go to the Eagles offensive line. Saquon wants to play. Are you guys okay with playing? Let's get that record. If Lane Johnson doesn't want to play, yeah, he's 34. Eagles stink without him. Maybe you play Fred Johnson at that right tackle spot. You should still be able to dominate the worst team in football in the New York Giants. So embrace debate. What should Saquon do? S for sit, P for play. I posted this question on our community tab on YouTube, and 81% of the fans said play Saquon. 19% rest him, and that came on 8,100 votes. Get your votes in on the community tab here on Eagles Now, and don't forget to subscribe.